Hello there, welcome back to my channel, Midnight Oil Software. I'm Greg, and on this channel I talk about digital art and game development in Unity. I'm going to do something a little bit different in this live stream. I've been doing some videos where I've been developing mini games, specifically an Egg Patrol game, which is a remake of Moon Patrol. And it's a mini game in my Ninja Eggs game. And that's sort of been a series that I've been doing. And I'm up to the point where I've actually got it published up to the Apple App Store for testing with test flight, and I have some beta testers looking at it. But today I want to do something a little bit different. I'm working on a tutorial writing the arcade classic Starcastle from scratch, from the bottom up. But before I do that tutorial video, I wanted to put together a prototype and basically work out how I want to implement the game. And I had a couple of people test my prototype. I had my son-in-law look at it and another game developer look at it. And both of them mentioned something that they noticed in the game. And that is that the turn speed for the ship felt sluggish. And I can actually demonstrate that. And by the way, if you're wondering what Starcastle is, if you're not familiar with Starcastle, it is an arcade game. Man, it's ancient. I think it came out in like 1982 maybe. But the premise is you've got a space station or a ship or something in space that's surrounded by shields, which are like concentric rings, segmented concentric rings that rotate in opposite directions. And you have to shoot through all of those rings to be able to destroy the base, the Starcastle. And of course it's shooting back at you, and then there's these little things that fly around and can hit you and kill you. And there's multiple levels and so forth. And so I'm remaking that game. And of course my graphics will be a lot better than the old 1982 graphics that you saw there. But let me demonstrate what I've got here and see if you can see what I'm talking about with the sluggishness of the turn speed and the controls. So this is keyboard control, but I also have an iPhone version of this which uses a thumbstick, a virtual thumbstick control. So my ship is there on the right, and so you'll notice, so I'm using rigid body physics to rotate, which, boom. Basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the ship's rigid body and I am applying torque to it. So I have a variable called rotation speed, which is a serialized field. And then I have the rigid body from my ship. And when I check for input, I have a method called getThrust. And depending on whether this is on a keyboard or on mobile, I basically determine, well, let's get thrust. I want to get rotation. Whether it's on keyboard or mobile, I get the direction I want to turn. And I just set the torque variable to be whatever my rotation speed is. And then I make it negative depending on the direction I'm turning. So I'm rotating right, I want to rotate in the negative direction. If I'm turning left, I want to rotate in the positive direction. And so torque in the fixed update method, if my torque is not 0, I just add torque to the rigid body. And I adjust that by time.fixed delta time. And so what the result of that is that the rotation kind of has to ramp up gradually. And then you'll keep rotating a little bit even after you take your finger off of the control. So you can overshoot. And I find myself, I don't know if you noticed if I was doing this when I was demonstrating it. I'll see if I can do this again and see if you notice. I end up kind of zigzagging left and right as I'm trying to follow a flight path, but I keep overshooting. So I'm not doing it so much here, but I did notice, like, if I'm trying to aim a particular direction, it's kind of tough. I'm getting better at it. I guess I'm getting better at this. It's not as bad for me. But anyway, based on the comments that I've received, I want to smooth that out a little bit. And so instead of using torque and modifying the rotation based on the rigid body, using rigid body physics, I'm just going to rotate the transform directly. So I'm going to comment this out. I'll probably end up deleting this line completely. And then instead of torque, I'm actually just going to comment this whole thing out. No, I'm not. All I'm going to do is I'm going to rename my torque variable here. And I'm going to call it rotation amount. So now if my rotation amount is not 0, instead of adding torque, what do I want to do? I want to have a variable here. I'd actually already started working on this. I created this variable called angle. So I want angle to be equal to the transform's local Euler angles. So this is my rotation. I only want the z-axis. This is my rotation in a vector 3 in Euler angles. So normally your rotation is stored, if I was to look at transform.rotation, that's normally stored as a quaternion, but I want to deal with angles here. So I'm going to save off my rotation. We're rotating on the z-axis. So this is a 2D game. And so if I go back into my game here, if I go into my scene and I pick my ship and we look at the transform here, and let me make my ship visible. So you look here, you can see my ship down here. I'm going to rotate my ship on the z-axis. And you can see as I change the rotation on the z-axis, the ship rotates. So basically that's what we want to do, but programmatically. So go back into my code here. So I save off my current angle. I want to modify that by adding my rotation amount and multiplying that by time.fixed delta time. That will smooth it out over the, depending on your processor speed. Fixed delta time is the amount of time that has elapsed since the last frame. And so this will make it so regardless of how fast your processor is, your rotation speed will be the same. And then finally, I want to assign that back to my transform. So I just want to set that to be quaternion, then taking it from the Euler value. So I only want the z-axis, which is my angle. Now, I'm pretty sure that the rotation amount that I assigned to my ship is not going to be right. So the rotation speed is 60, and that's what I had for torque. And I'm pretty sure that's not going to be what I want when I'm actually rotating the transform. Let's see how it looks. That's actually not bad. It's a little slow. I think I want to rotate. Oh, I definitely want to rotate a little bit faster than that. That's just very, very, very slow. I got missiles chasing me. Oh, no. You like the way I bounce off the walls? I'm making it kind of a cross between Starcastle and there was a game, I think, around the same time called Omega Race. Hey, I got to throw asteroids in there. If you know me, if you've been following my channel and all, and you've seen any of my games, you know that if it's a space-related game, I need to have asteroids. All right, so I think that that's a little slow. So I'm going to take my rotation speed and let's bump it up. Let's double that. That's probably going to be a little fast, but let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that's fast. Yeah. Now, I don't like the way that it stops rotating instantly when I let go of the key, but that's basically... So, yeah, let me explain this. What I liked about the torque rigid body method was it was very realistic in terms of actual physics. you know, you start applying torque, you're taking this big ship and you're starting to move it. It takes a while for it to start moving, and then it's going to keep moving a little bit after you stop applying the torque. That's great for realism, but it's terrible for player control. The player doesn't really feel like he's in control of the ship. And I played around with a ton of values on this guy. I played around with his angular drag and the amount, the rotation speed that I was applying. And I just couldn't get anything that felt good. If I applied too much rotation speed, you really kept going after you stopped. And if I applied too much drag, it just took too much force to get it to even start moving. I really couldn't find that happy medium to get it to where it felt responsive, but still kind of realistic that you're turning this big ship around. So I think just for player usability and for fun factor, I think that this method may be better, but we'll see. I'll put it up there on itch.io, and I'll have my testers take another look at it, and we'll see how they like it. I will bump this down a little bit here to 100. Give this another test. Let me stop this and then maximize on play so you can see it better. It's definitely more responsive. I definitely feel like I have better control over where I'm aiming. And by the way, I know it seems super easy for me to blow up that station, and the reason is for testing purposes, I turned on my double turrets. Do I have a prefab for that guy? Did I have my double turret turned on? It seemed like I was firing double turrets at it. Yep, I got double turrets turned on, but I'm not sure where they're getting turned on. So if I go look at my ship, double turrets is definitely... Oh, yeah, duh. All right, I'll stop the game. I'll enable my ship. Double turrets is on. I'm going to turn them off, and I'm going to turn on single turret. Now the game will be a lot tougher. I'm only throwing one bullet out at a time instead of 4. So it'll be 4 times as hard. Big difference. And so initially the enemy turret rotation speed, the enemy's rate of fire, and the speed of the projectile and the speed of the missiles are pretty slow. But every time I blow up one of those guys, all that stuff gets faster. And it gets that much tougher. So you can see it's taking me a lot longer. Oh, if you look up in the upper right, there's now a drone chasing me, and he's going to shoot at me. But also, he's also very slow and sluggish. Ah! I bounced off the wall right into a missile. Let me see. I got a bug here where all the rings disappeared after my ship destroyed. Have no idea why that happened. I need to debug that. And I don't want to show the rings during that little cutscene. I want to turn them off. So I have some work to do on this guy. It's definitely a prototype and a work in process. Oh, you can see that projectile was a lot faster. The missiles are a little bit faster now. Taking me a lot longer to get through those shields. I should just let them blow me up so all the shields disappear. Okay. Ooh, I don't have my level complete text showing up. That's another bug if you're paying attention. How many bugs have you counted so far? Let's see now. The projectile should be faster. The missile should be a little bit faster. Yeah, they're definitely a little bit faster. So anyway, I won't bore you watching me play this. I have some bugs to fix there. The other thing I want to do is when I destroy enemy rockets and asteroids, I want to have them drop power-ups. I started stubbing those out a little bit. The idea, I want to have some power-ups for shields. I want the ship to have a shield kind of like the Starcastle has, except just one ring. And I think I'll have it rotate just like theirs. I think that'll be really cool. Or not, I'm not sure, because it could be a tactical thing where if one segment of your shield gets destroyed, you can keep that away from the enemy and you can take hits on other vectors. So that's something to consider. I have to think about that. You can turn around and take it on a fresh shield. If you've ever played a board game called Starfleet Battles, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, and I want to have a extra life power up. Right now you start off with 3 lives, so there's that. A booster for the thrust, so you thrust faster. I think that would be cool. A lot of these ideas were suggested to me by another game developer named Dekker. I'm going to have to put a link to his stuff in the description because he's got some cool mobile games he's put out, and he is very active on the Unity forum, the Unity game development forums, and the algorithm for these shields. So creating these shields and their individual segments and putting them in the right place and the right size with the right angles and all that, that's his algorithm. I based this off of his algorithm. And so why don't I go ahead and show you that? I mean, this doesn't have to be I don't know how long have I been streaming. It's been pretty short, and I can make this video a little bit longer, 20 minutes. If I look at my space station, the Starcastle script, the algorithm in here to create rings and create the ring segments, the basis of this is not exactly, I mean, I've changed this quite a bit, but the basis of this is from Dekker's algorithm that I got, that he sent me. I'll even put a link to his GitHub link that has this algorithm in case anybody wants to check that out and implement it in their own game. I am going to make a tutorial just totally dedicated to writing this game from scratch, from the very beginning, creating the Unity project, importing the assets we're going to use. I'm using a lot of free assets. All of these images are from a free asset pack called 2D Space Kit. You can get this on the Unity Asset Store, and I will put a link to that in the description. It's a great asset. I'm mainly just using the sprites off of it. I mean, I am using some of their background. I'm using the dust clouds. I'm using the Earth-like planet. I think it was Earth-like 2. I'm using this main sequence star here. And yeah, I can't remember. I think there's probably some other. I'm using at least one of these fantasy. I can actually look and see exactly what I'm using. Oh, I renamed it to Starfield, but the texture here it's just 2. I think that must be that purple. I copied it from there into my own. I think it's this one. It may be that one. Anyway, there's a lot of good stuff here, as you can see. I will show the title screen. I have another pack here called 20 Logos PSD. Basically, these are Photoshop files. There's also PNG versions of the rendered things. But they're basically logos, different styles of logos. And you can take the Photoshop file and replace the text. And they're layered. It's pretty cool, actually. And so I took, I think it might have been this one. Yeah, so this one that's just said Crazy Planet. And I use that as the basis for a logo on my title screen. So let me go to my title screen. If I can find my scenes. So yeah, Cosmic Space Fortress. So yeah, I basically just took that logo into Photoshop and then I changed the text. The interesting thing about it, if I open up Photoshop, oops, that's not what I wanted. It's got a ton of layers. So in addition to the text, there's all these background layers with the same text in different positions and with a different color to give you a very cool shaded effect. So if we come over here, these are the back. So there's the foreground, and there's just a ton of stuff there. And so this is where I wrote the word cosmic. And then back here, there's all these different layers for cosmic. So that's the word cosmic, and then I'll turn them off so you can see them. So you can see that as you turn those on, you get more and more depth to the logo. So of course I had to edit each and every one of those. And it did the same thing for what he called Planet, I called Space Fortress. So there's my foreground, and then you can see the background that goes behind it. So yeah, I just pulled that whole Photoshop file into Unity. And that gives me that cool logo. And then if you're not using DOTween, you need to start using it. If you're doing Unity game development and you want to fade stuff in or move stuff, scale stuff, I'm telling you, DOTween it's the bee's knees. So if I go into this title screen, if I go into my title screen script, I initialize my DOTween component. And so in on enable, I basically call do fade on the material for the title. So I'm grabbing the material off of that title image, and then I fade it. I fade it in from 0 to 1 on the alpha. And I also scale it. So I set the local scale to 0, and then I scale it up to 1. And I do this over 1 second. So I fade it in over the course of 1 second, and then I zoom it in over the course of 3 seconds, and I use linear ease for the easing. And then I fade out, or I fade in the canvas group that's at the bottom. That's where I display the copyright and the version number. And I fade that in over 5 seconds. And then I call this fade out method, which fades out that image and the canvas group text. And then I call another method after 3 seconds, which fades out the background. And then I load the next scene. So these methods here are extension methods that you get from DOTween. And I'm also using DOTween in my Starcastle scene. For when you destroy the space station. So when the space station is destroyed, where do I do that? I play this victory sound, and then I set this level complete text to true. So level complete text is a property in my UI which has this zoom and fade in and out script on it. So this script, it gets the transform. I just cached that. Apparently there are performance benefits to caching your transform. Even though Unity supposedly now caches the transform, it's caching it on the C++ side. So you still have to unbox it across to the C# side. So there actually is a performance benefit to caching your transform. It's probably minor, but I just am in the habit of doing that. I also grabbed the Text Mesh Pro component because DOTween will animate Text Mesh Pro components. It has several methods, several extensions, extension methods for Text Mesh Pro, including DoFade. So when I enable this, I have a sequence here. You know, I see what my bug was. So initially that thing is at full alpha. And so it's displayed fully visible. And so I zoom it in with due scale, and then I fade it out over 3 seconds. And then when all of that is complete, I disable the component. My bug, which I'm sure you will remember, the second time it destroyed the station, it didn't display the text. It's because I faded it out and never set the alpha back. So what I need to do can I put this? There. So now, when this sequence is complete, just do that. Hopefully it won't flash up there. We'll test that. What I will do is I will set the color back to 1 and disable this component. Let me give that a test. I hope you all are enjoying these videos. I love doing game development videos. It helps motivate me to work on stuff because I know I'm not just doing it for my benefit, but then other people can see what I'm working on and how I fix things and change things, the kind of bugs I run into and how I fix them. Okay, so that was the first time. Let's see, it's going to fade out. Ah, yes, perfect. Okay, so now let's see if I can blow it up again. I'm going to make this, well, darn. I was going to try and enable my double turrets to make this go faster, but we'll just do it the hard way. Yeah, I think it'd be cool if when I destroy missiles and asteroids, they can have a chance of dropping some kind of a power-up or reward. Oh, so close. Still didn't work. Why didn't that work? In fact, now that I think about it, the code that was there should have worked because I'm setting that to 1 before I do the fade. So clearly this is not having the desired effect. Let me do something a little radical here. I don't know why setting the color on the material didn't work, but this should definitely work. And before I test this, I'm going to turn on my double turrets. I'm going to leave the single turrets on. I'm going to fire 5 bullets instead of 4. I mean, why not? There we go. All right, I'm happy with that. I don't know why getting the color off the material for the Text Mesh Pro did not work. I'm sure I've done something like that in the past. But as long as it works, I'm happy with that. Yeah, so I have a few bugs to work on. The rings, I don't want to display the rings during the cutscene. For some reason, sometimes when my ship is destroyed, all the rings disappear. That should not happen. Let me see. I'll destroy some. Oh my goodness. I'm overpowered. So it didn't happen that... Oh, some of them disappeared. Okay, so there's definitely some kind of a bug there. Did all the... Well, not all the damaged ones disappear, because that one's damaged. That's strange. Definitely got to debug that. That could be a good one. If I figure out what that is, I'll probably do a video on what the problem was and how I fixed it. Was there another bug? I'm trying to remember if there was another bug. That's all I can remember. If anybody watches this and you remember what the other bug was, leave a message, leave a comment on the video. So there we go. I think that was a pretty productive little bit of time there working on that. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something about how you can rotate a game object either through rigid body physics using torque or just directly rotating the transform, and you can see the difference of how it looks and feels. You saw a little bit about DOTween, which is a really useful asset from the asset store, and it's free. You can buy, I think it's a pro version, but yeah, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, so there is DOTween Pro. So there is a pro version that you can pay for. And I think there's just some extra features that are provided, but pretty much anything I want to do, I can do with the free version, and I just love it. It makes things so easy. I don't know if you watched the video from my live stream when I was working on my Egg Patrol game. I have these pterodactyls that fly in and drop bombs, and they follow a flight path where they'll come in and they'll kind of do some loops, and then they'll fly off. And I animated all that with DOTween. DOTween lets you create sequences, and it lets you create paths. So there's like a do path extension method, and you can give it points along that path and have it just go from one to the other. And there's all kinds of different types of movements it can do. So you can make it like really round and smooth, or really linear and direct. And it's really, really cool. And then there are yo-yo effects. Oh, yeah, let me go back to my game. One of the items of feedback that I got was that it was difficult to see the cannon fire from the base, from the main cannon. So I implemented a couple of things. One is I added a particle effect to it. So when it fires, there's a very obvious particle effect that will shoot out of it. So I'll fly around. Well, watch that cannon in the center of the fortress. So you see that little particle effect that shot out of it? So that makes it obvious that it's shooting. But now, pay attention to the projectile that comes out of it. You see it shimmering? Okay, it got destroyed. So we'll let it shoot out again. And watch the bluish projectile that shoots out of the cannon. And you see how it kind of shimmers and flickers? Well, I use DOTween for that. So if I go into so under enemy projectile script. So I'm using DOTween here. I grab the material off of the sprite renderer. I set its color to be max color. So in my inspector here, I have a min color and max color. So if we go to the enemy projectile, I've got this bluish color and then an almost white color. So I'm in the blue hue here, but then for saturation and value, I'm really high up over here. Well, very unsaturated, but very high in value. So that gives me an almost white, but sort of a bluish white for the max color. And all I'm doing is in that script, if I can find my editor, when that is enabled, I set the color to be the max color, and then I set a do color where I am going to go to the min color. So I'm going to go from the max color to the min color over my shimmer speed, which I actually set it at something very, very low, like 0.001 or something in the inspector. Go back and look at that again. Yeah, 0.01. So I'm going to go from max to min in 0.01 seconds. And then it's going to loop forever. So when you do set loops, the first parameter is how many loops. And if you give it -1, it basically will loop forever. And then the loop type is yo-yo, which means it's going to go to min to max, to min to max, to min to max, to min to max. And there's lots of different loop types. Well, not lots. There's incremental, restart, and yo-yo. So incremental continuously increments the tween at the end of each loop, always moving onwards. And then restart basically restarts the loop over from the beginning. I should try that and see what that looks like. And then yo-yo reverses it. So that's why it's going from min to max, back to min, back to max. Let me try restart and see what that looks like. That might look better. Shoot at me. I can't tell. Does that look better? I think it looks about the same to me. But I like it. I'll just leave it like that. Boom. I did the same thing with the ship's projectiles, except they're sort of a orangish red, or almost a pink looking. And the flickering isn't as noticeable with them. Before I forget, I want to turn off my double turrets. All right. So if that was helpful, if you find this information of use and interesting, do me a favor and click like and subscribe. It's free. and it really helps me to grow my channel and get this information in front of as many people as possible. And also, if you want to be notified the next time I post a video or go live, click that notification icon as well. And I would appreciate it too if you have any friends that are interested in game development or digital art, if you could share the link to my channel with your friends on your social media platform of choice. And yeah, hopefully we can get this valuable, what I hope was valuable information in front of as many people as possible. So I really do appreciate y'all tuning in or watching this. And if you found it helpful, drop me a comment. I'd love to hear what you think of my video. If you have any questions, let me know. And if there's any suggestions on anything you'd like to see me do in my videos. And also, if you see anything about the way I did this, if you know of a better way or have a question about why did you do it that way when you could have done it this other way, give me that comment or suggestion as well, because I really do welcome constructive feedback. And I'm trying to grow as a game developer, and that's what this channel is all about, is growing as a Unity game developer and also as a digital artist. So thanks so much again for watching, and have a great day.